We're rolling.
Okay. Hi, I'm Amanda Tapping, and I'm biting the bullet for self-worth and where I think the Me Too movement should take us. Okay. I am a person who has always struggled with low self-esteem. Somebody who allows criticism to embed into my flesh. And I was fortunate enough for 15 years solid on television to play two incredibly strong and powerful, smart, sexy, funny female characters. And I never felt as smart or strong or sexy or powerful as the women I was playing. I felt like I was an imposter. I loved playing them because in that moment I was those women. But then I would get into my car and go, I'm not those women. I'm never going to be those women. And I couldn't quite figure out how to balance those two parts of myself. Because I was young enough to believe everything that was said about me, I believed everything that was said about me, which is bullshit. Because what I didn't realize was that a lot of things that are said about you, no matter what you do for a living, are coming from somebody else's perspective and somebody else's issues and somebody else's insecurity. But I let it eat me. I let it destroy me, and I let it put out my light, and I let it silence my voice. Then I became a director, and I worked really hard to distance myself from the actress to the director who was strong and powerful and led a set and knew her lenses and knew the technicality. And I worked really hard to prove that I was worthy of taking over an episode of television. What I encountered very early on in my career was a lot of people who questioned whether I was worthy of being a director. So I got asked who I blew to get a job, which makes me laugh now because I didn't blow anybody and I got the job and he didn't, so neener. But at the time, I was devastated. It literally floored me, physically floored me. I have been screamed at on sets by executive producers. I have been questioned by director of photography. I've been questioned by camera department. I've been questioned by almost everyone in a position of power about whether I knew what I was doing in a way that my male counterparts would never have been questioned. I had to keep my eyes clear and my head up, and then I would get into my car and I would collapse into a miasma of self-doubt and self-loathing and insecurity and lack of worth. And that's what I would drive home with and lay my head on my pillow at night with and wake up the next morning and often throw up and then drive back to that same job where I was going to be treated the way I was being treated. How do we move forward in this Me Too movement as women? How do we move forward from these are the things that we've dealt with, this is the shit we've had to deal with, these are the shitty things that have happened to us? How do we move forward not with anger and not with a kind of fuck you attitude, men, we're going to take over now. I don't want to do that. I don't want to take over. I just want a level playing field where I can shine and be creative and where my fellow sisters can shine and be creative without having to apologize for being women, without having to prove ourselves for being women, and without having to say what I'm finding now, oh, you got the job because you're a woman. Too bad you're not a woman of color. Then you'd really get hired. How do we move past? How do we get past that? Where it's just you got hired because you have a great resume and you work really hard and you're talented. How do we get to that? So the thing that I am finding with the Me Too movement is that we have swung the pendulum so far that distinct and destructive part of society that we were trying to break open and expose has now in some ways been driven deeper underground. For as many men who have been called out, and women who have been called out for the horrible things that they've done, which is amazing, there is an equal number, if not more, who have driven that anger against women underground. And I don't want the Me Too movement to hurt us in the long run. And I feel like it's starting to go that way. That suddenly, the hashtags are flying around like ninja stars and we're all dodging them going, okay, but. The point of Me Too is not, look what you did to me, you son of a bitch. It's, I deserve equal respect and to be treated with dignity And that's not asking too much. I deserve and demand a level playing field. And we need to have an idea of how to push this movement forward without it just being the finger pointing, so that it's not just a bunch of anger towards men and the mirror being held back in anger towards women, which there is a lot of. How do we take it further? So I'm not anti-Me Too. I just feel like we need to take it to the next level. We've done it. We've opened the door. Now what do we have to say? And I think what we have to say is give us a level playing field, not just because we're women. Give us a level playing field because we're human beings. And we've worked as hard, if not harder, to earn the respect and to be treated with dignity. And what's happening in a positive way from the Me Too movement is that women are standing up for each other, and we're working together, and we're supportive. And every time I get together with women, it's about, what can I do for you? How can I help you? How can you help me? How can we help each other? It's a rising up in a really organic and beautiful and authentic way that's not about, we're going to prove those men wrong. It's about, how can we help each other? And I think that that collective power is frightening some people. And so I think we need to figure out how to move forward with the same grace and the same positivity and the same support, but in a much more forward-thinking way. And this is the moment. This is the moment where the Me Too has come crashing down and the barriers have been broken and people are speaking out. But what do we do next? I think what we do next is we support each other in a way that we've never done before. And I think that it's happening only because we're all realizing that we've all been through the same struggles. No matter what we do for a living, we've all been through the same struggles. So how do we as women help each other? And I guess I'm biting the bullet ultimately to say we can be our genuine, authentic, graceful, beautiful, creative selves without having to apologize for it, and without letting people take our power away. We can be powerful without it being a bad thing. Power can be beautiful, and it doesn't have to be nasty, and it doesn't have to be arrogant, and it doesn't have to make you a bitch. You can be beautiful and joyful and powerful in a really authentic way. And that's what I'm striving for, and that's what I'm hoping that we as women can do for each other, is bring ourselves up.